Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hello again. My name is Irene Law of the Meetings and Exhibitions Hong Kong. Thank you so much for coming to our hosted lunch today, which ME Hong Kong is proud to be the premium sponsor. Please continue with your lunch, but allow me to use the next 10-15 minutes to update you, on why Hong Kong has all the correct ingredients to host your next events. This one, yes. There you go. You've all heard about the Hong Kong Tourism Board. We've been around for a long time, and we've successfully making Hong Kong to be one of the best tourist destinations in the world. In 2008, we set up a new department called the Meetings and Exhibitions Hong Kong, with the sole purpose of supporting all the MICE organizers from around the world to hosting their events in Hong Kong successfully. I'd like to give you some very valid numbers about Hong Kong's visitors' arrival. In 2012, we welcomed over 48 million visitors to Hong Kong, out of which over 1.6 million are MICE travelers. And in 2013, from January to September, we already welcomed over 1 million MICE visitors, and we are looking at a very healthy and modest 2 to 3% growth in 2013 over last year. Of all these arrivals, when we look at the statistics, close to half of which are from mainland China and Macau. And this is due to a number of factors, and I'm going to explain to you in a second. And we are looking also at 25% from long-haul markets from Europe and USA, and also about 30% from short-haul destinations, which is really the Southeast Asian market. And over the years, we are so honored to receive a lot of international accolades, naming Hong Kong as the best MICE city, not just in Asia, but also in the world. One of the most potent reasons why Hong Kong is the best MICE cities is primarily because of our very strategic location in Asia. Take Hong Kong as the center, and from Hong Kong, if you take a 5-hour flight in Asia, you can almost cover half of the world's population. From Hong Kong, you can take all these non-stop flights, the longest one to, say, San Francisco in 15 hours, to London in 12 hours, and to Australia, Sydney in roughly 9 hours. So it's so easy for international delegates and buyers to come to Hong Kong for your show. In Hong Kong, we operate over 2,900 flights a week to over 180 destinations, including 44 mainland cities. Apart from the airline service, in Hong Kong, we are now constructing the Guangzhou-Shenzhen-Hong Kong high-speed train service. Come 2015, when the service is in place, traveling from Hong Kong to Guangzhou will be a very short journey of around about 45 minutes. And you can literally take this high-speed train all the way from Hong Kong to Beijing in about 10 hours. We are also constructing this Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau bridge, linking Hong Kong directly to Macau by road system. At the moment, if you would like to travel from Hong Kong to Macau, you need to take the jet foil in about an hour's time. But when this bridge is completed, the journey time is only a very short 20 minutes. Why is this bridge so important? If you look at this map, with this bridge, Hong Kong is literally linked to the west of the Guangdong province, which is home to over 50 million populations. And Guangdong province is the most affluent province in the whole of China, with a lot of international factories and conglomerate being set up in this part of China. So that will give you very easy access to a lot of mainland Chinese delegates and buyers. Hong Kong, we offer visa-free to over 170 nations and regions. And it's not necessary, if you want to go to China, that you have to apply for a China visa beforehand, before coming to Hong Kong. And when you finish your event in Hong Kong, if you do want to travel to mainland China for business or leisure, you don't have to apply a China visa beforehand. When you're in Hong Kong, we can help you to apply for a visa within 24 hours and allowing you to have access free to go to the Guangdong province. I mentioned about the ease of mainland Chinese coming to Hong Kong for conference and exhibition. One of the main reasons is the Hong Kong government has made some arrangement with the Chinese government to allowing 49 major cities in China with over 270 million population Chinese to apply for what we call individual visit scheme, sort of a visa that allows them to travel to Hong Kong on multiple times. Hence, it makes it so easy for them to attending all these conferences and exhibitions in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, we offer a very simple tax system, literally the lowest tax charging cities in the world. We do not have VAT or sales tax. We do not have hotel tax. All you are charged is the 10% service charge only. And we do not charge capital gains tax. If you work with a professional conference organizer in Hong Kong, all the registration fee, sponsorship fee that you collect in Hong Kong can be 100% transferred out to your country. The bank will only charge a very minimal handling fee, but the Hong Kong government will not charge any tax on this income. And Hong Kong since 2008 has abolished the wine and beer tax, so making Hong Kong now actually is the 30th city in the world. We overtook New York to be the highest grossing wine auction city in the world. In Hong Kong, English is widely spoken and used, and it's a very safe city for all the tourists to enjoy. And we do have a very convenient local transportation system. If your hotel is right next to what we call an underground station, actually it's a very easy access to go around town. In Hong Kong, we have over 150,000 square meter of convention and exhibition space, and these two prominent convention and exhibition center, can really help you to stage all your events in Hong Kong. As of this year, in June, we opened up the new Kai Tak Cruise Terminal on the old Kai Tak Airport runway. Hence, you look at it, the elongated shape. So when there is no ship call, actually we can use the cruise terminal's 7,500 square meter event hall to stage any of your off-site event. It's very convenient because it's right situated in downtown. All the major hotel brands have already set up their flagship hotel in Hong Kong, sometimes more than one. And in Hong Kong, we do have a host of professional conference organizers to help you staging your event in Hong Kong with ease. The Meetings and Exhibition Hong Kong team is here to help you, first and foremost, to get hotel proposals, to liaise with our Hong Kong government, inviting top officials to gracing your events as guest of honor. We can also help you with overseas pre-promotion to driving attendance. And we also sponsor site inspection trips to Hong Kong. And last but not the least, we also provide a host of hospitality services, to making your events even more satisfactory and successful. All these are under our Hong Kong Rewards Hospitality Scheme. And one of our partner is the Cathay Pacific and Dragonair, and they are sponsoring discounted tickets to all delegates coming to Hong Kong for convention and exhibitions. Next, enjoy a video about Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong, a myriad of unlimited possibilities await you and your next convention. A place where anything is possible. Looking to converge with professional experts from all over the world to share knowledge for an enlightening convention? Hong Kong will make it happen. As Asia's world city, Hong Kong is the ideal destination where international organizations and professional bodies can exchange inspirational knowledge and establish global contacts. As a gateway to mainland China, Hong Kong is also the perfect place to establish strong links with Chinese counterparts. Our unrivaled strategic location and one of the world's finest airports have made Hong Kong a major Asian and global aviation hub. The convenience is enhanced by visa-free entry for nationalities of 170 countries. With English and Chinese as official languages, getting around town is easy. A modern, sophisticated metropolis, Hong Kong's advanced telecommunications and infrastructure is geared to host the most prestigious conventions. We're a perfect fit for conventions of every size. In this exciting metropolis, you'll find a host of world-class convention facilities, including the purpose-built 70,000 square meter Asia World Expo and its 13,500-seat indoor arena, plus the award-winning and recently expanded Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center, standing over 92,000 square meters. We also have an abundance of other world-class meeting facilities, including hotel ballrooms, special venues, and off-site locations. Experienced and highly qualified support staff who take care of everything from initial event planning through to logistics details makes your convention excel. United by a can-do attitude, our professionals will work tirelessly to meet and exceed your expectation. And after your convention, you'll find Hong Kong is home to a whole host of fascinating and exciting attractions. Plenty of world-class dining, shopping, as well as the ultra-modern and stylishly cosmopolitan. Or how about enjoying the quiet tranquility of our many beautiful islands and country parks? We also proudly maintain our Chinese heritage and culture. It's all your choice for your tailor-made pre- or post-event tours. Your delegates can easily explore Hong Kong or nearby cities in the region.
Hong Kong ticketed all the right boxes for us. The state-of-the-art meeting facilities, wide range of hotel choices, and ease of getting around town perfectly met all the requirements of our citywide convention. To top that, the experienced professional support is second to none. Their can-do and tireless working attitude makes everything seem so easy. Nothing is impossible. Hong Kong definitely exceeded our expectations. I would recommend Hong Kong without a doubt.
Hong Kong is an important media and communications hub and is definitely the ideal location for Casbah to meet. The vibrancy and variety of things to do here in Hong Kong is a great draw for our delegates from around the international entertainment, media and communications industries. That's why we choose Hong Kong as our place to meet.
Hong Kong is a dynamic destination where possibilities converge for you and your attendees to exchange endless ideas and knowledge, making every convention a guaranteed success.
Thank you all for your kind attention. I hope to see you at the Meetings and Exhibition Hong Kong stand at J80, which is down the escalator to your right. Next, may I introduce, after this lunch, the next session is going to be Association Knowledge, getting to know the wider association community. And the speakers are Mr. Christophe Rodinat, Executive Director of European Society of Association Executives, and also Mr. Alessandro Cortisi, CEO, European Society for Radiotherapy and Oncology. Thank you so much.
Right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Hi. We're not going to do a karaoke contest here now. But, well, okay, we do have an introduction session here this afternoon that is slightly also on the lighter side, I should say. We definitely want to work around communities. Some of you probably already see that there will be some colorful pens and pencils distributed everywhere. You've got all a little bit of sort of like lanyard replacing string on your tables. As the materials are going to be distributed, you will need them all. It's not a kindergarten exercise, don't worry. But we'll let you work on your creativity here this afternoon, and we really hope for your buy-in. Actually, I'm just noticing that I need here. That's perfect. Does that work? Yes. First question, communities, obviously. Who are we? I'm handing over to Alessandro to introduce himself very quickly.
Okay, quickly, Alessandro Cortese. I am the Chief Executive of the European Society for Radiation Oncology. ESTRO in the short name. So that's the medical society serving 6,000 radiation oncologists in Europe, providing professional development opportunities, congresses, courses. And I'm also the president of the European Society of Association Executives since the last month of June.
And that's where Alessandro and I work together. Obviously, I'm managing the ESAE, and I'm also a consultant to associations myself. Very much working with associations on change management and reputation. Now, for this afternoon, we really are looking at how do we build communities? How do our communities come together? We're looking very much at trying to establish together with you, because our little introduction was the last thing that we really wanted to talk about ourselves. The rest should be more about you. What brings us together? What are the common values that we share? What are the common values that you share within your organizations as well? And just to start off with a little bit of demographics, I'd like those of you that have a free hand and that are not shoveling the food in, to kindly raise your hand if you're working for a standalone association. Right, we do have a few.
About half.
A standalone association. So if you're working just for an association, not an association management company, but just one association. Good. How many of you are working for association management companies, so multiple associations? We also have a few.
A few, yeah.
So if I could ask those AMCs to kindly, in their head now, think of one association that they would want to represent for this afternoon's exercise, please. Thank you. Do we have any PCOs in here? I see Linda over there. There's somebody. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. Well, that is sort of, we're establishing our groups here this afternoon, obviously, as well. So, here. A little creative exercise. You will have something on your tables now, I hope, that resembles somewhat this picture here. And I'm saying somewhat because it doesn't, in fact, look entirely like this one up here in the front. I know you have something that says a couple of nice things. If everybody could arm themselves with one of those coats of arms. And a pen. Does everybody, actually, no, just let me quickly check. Does everybody have on their tables red, yellow, green, and blue pens? Okay, you need to keep those. I now let you quickly, for 5 minutes, work on these. Well, yeah, 5 minutes should be more than enough, I hope. To work on these coats of arms, you have there a couple of fields. On one of them it says your name. I think you have it going through the middle. Your name should go there. There's a funny work story, there's a hobby section, there's a family section, there's something about your job. If you could just kindly think of a couple of adjectives that would describe you in your particular situation, in those particular circumstances. So your family. What does your family mean to you? Your hobbies, what kind of hobbies do you have? There's a funny work story in there as well. Quickly think of something creative. You can introduce those to your fellow table mates later.
How much time do we give?
I thought 5 minutes, but 5 minutes may be a little bit too long. These people are way too creative for that. I'll give you 2.
We have a
More
question.
instructions? Your coat of arms should have a couple of fields where it says name, write your name there, a funny work story, a hobby. Just fill those fields in accordingly, with as much creativity as you want to, with as much color as you can, because I see not every table has a lot of colors. First minute down. Yes. This is about yourselves. That's about yourselves now. It's only about yourselves. We'll come to the colors soon.
Yes.
As soon as you're ready, could I see some hands up in the air? Who is ready? Okay, very good. Very creative people. Right. As we work along, I'll leave you to it. You can just think about it while you're doing the rest of the exercise. Now we're coming to the colorful part of this afternoon. Now we're no longer thinking of ourselves. Now we're thinking about the we as a wider expression, us within our associations. I said this is now where it's important for those association management companies to think of one association. Now make a choice. Who do you represent here today? Now the first question, you can see it's color-coded. Do think of the members that you represent, and who are they? Are they predominantly individuals? Are they predominantly corporate organizations? When we say predominantly other organizations, are they predominantly just organizations, not necessarily corporates, but other associations as well? Or is it a mixed approach? Do we have both? According to what you have, please use one of the quadrants of your coat of arms and use the color that corresponds with you. Just use any one quadrant, but just one. And use the color that represents the membership that you serve. Just make a frame around what you've written, for example, or just slightly draw over it, depending on what's better for the pens and pencils that you're having. Exactly. It's color coding, and it will be color coordinated hopefully later on. Yes, that's fine. Be free in your imagination. Can I see a round of hands who has made their choice? Who's ready to continue?
We need a bit more.
A little bit more time?
Yeah, we need everyone.
We definitely need everybody. Yeah. those that are ready, please leave your hands up in the air. And we're waiting for those that are not yet ready. It's also a good exercise to keep digesting.
Yes.
Okay, Linda is definitely ready, I see. Very good. Thank you, Linda. Okay, let's move on. Next question. Still, who are we? But now we're looking into the main sources of revenue of our organization. Now here you see I gave a little bit more choice for those who might choose red or blue. So main sources of revenue, predominantly coming from individual membership or predominantly coming from corporate membership. It's either blue or red. Predominantly through education and events, or predominantly through publications, for example, also again either blue or red. Then we have obviously also project works. We might get funding for projects, donations as well, funds from others. That would be a yellow. Or a green for a little bit of everything from all of the above. Now with this I would like you to choose yet another quadrant, just one quadrant again of that coat of arms, and frame that or color it with the corresponding color from this slide that corresponds with your organization best. And once the people that are ready, if they could kindly stand up. Please do raise yourselves. Once you've colored your quadrant, or your first two quadrants, please stand up.
Yeah, and this time we need everyone to stand up before we can continue, so
Yes,
it will take some time.
I see there's a former ESAE colleague in the audience. Rachel, hi. Hi. Right. We have some Picassos amongst each other here that are still drawing. Very good. Do we have a critical mass to continue?
I think so.
Okay. Now all of you who stand up, please follow me. Just stay where you are currently, but just follow my movement. This was just to wake you up, don't worry. Right, we're coming to the third quadrant. The main characteristics of our organizations. I hope you haven't yet sniffed where this is all going. The main characteristics of our organizations are represented in the shared values that we have and also obviously in our membership. Our membership is pretty much what really characterizes our organizations probably. If your organization comes together through mainly shared values, education, furthering of the individuals, betterment, education, professionality, everything, please use the color code blue in the third quadrant. If your members are coming together because they intend to steer an agenda that is common to them all, be it political, be it economical, please use the color code red in that third quadrant that you choose. If you've got members that are coming together whose shared values is a unification, united we stand, together we are strong, together we can achieve something. It doesn't have to have a particularly political or economic agenda. It can, but it doesn't necessarily have to have that. But it's just really that we're coming together for a common goal, also very much free-willing. then please do choose the color code yellow for your third quadrant. And if you're looking at membership from a slightly more innovative point of view, some new approaches, trying to mix memberships a little bit, trying to mix also the various backgrounds and values that people may have and trying to serve them all. Something more forward-looking, I should say. I don't want to qualify that necessarily, but something innovative. Please use the color code green in your coat of arms. Again, in the third quadrant, one quadrant only. You should by now have 3 quadrants with a color code. I was just thinking as the next exercise for those who are ready to have you crawl under the table, but I'm not going to do that. No.
I hear some greens.
Green? Good. Let's just have a quick poll while we're sort of going through this. Who here chose green as their last, the third quadrant for this question? Who here chose green? 2, 3.
A few, yep.
A few, okay. Who chose blue? That's a good half.
A good number, yeah.
Who chose red? Also a couple, yeah. Anybody on yellow? Okay, good, very good. Okay, now the fourth question, the fourth quadrant really sort of narrows it all down in terms of what do we represent as our organization. Do we represent blue, professional interests, red, industry interests, yellow, a group of organizations, so probably interests, would that be? Or green, all of the above, a mixed approach. So this would be the color, or determine the color for your fourth quadrant on your coat of arms. Think about it. Don't think about it for too long. I mean, this should be a fairly straightforward question now. Okay, who's got a nice colorful coat of arms ready now? Not yet? Okay, very good. One is ready. Anyone else? All those who have filled in the last quadrant, please raise their hands. Okay, it's a thinking exercise, is it? Right, very good. And let's come to an end of the creative drawing part. Now you just simply have to ask yourselves, obviously, what is your primary color of that coat of arms that you have?
All blue, yeah. Makes sense.
We do have Picassos amongst us here, of course. Well, we're here in Barcelona after all, right? Right. Let's ask, as a primary color, sort of more than one quadrant in this case. Who is blue? Or who would say they're blue? Okay.
Okay.
Who is more on the red side of life?
All right.
Do we have any yellows? Okay.
Yeah.
There's definitely one yellow, but I wanted to be a yellow, thank you. Do we have any greens here? Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Innovative thing. So, well, let's see. I'll let you in on a little secret. Alessandro and I, when we prepared the session, we were thinking of a little model of how communities actually come together, obviously. As mentioned earlier, there are a couple of shared values, there are a couple of intentions that bring us together as communities. And we sort of came up with this little model, and we just wanted to test that on you. You're our guinea pigs now here. Now, I would like everybody to please stand up and reseat yourselves. Do take your bags with you if you have any here with you, or put them aside if you can for the time being, just to reseat you. And I would like to have possibly, if possible, all the people that are blue to come together in this corner here. Let's say these 3 tables. All the reds in this corner here. The yellow ones in the far corner there, closer by the coffee machine, but that doesn't give you the right to go for coffee now.
Yeah, that's later.
And the greens back in that corner. So, blue, red, yellow, green. And do take the time to quickly shake hands with each other and introduce each other to each other. Each other. Okay, so blue over here in this corner still.
Yeah.
Do fill up the tables. Just pull up the chair, absolutely. We have the greens in the far corner back there, very good. We have a couple of yellow ones over there, yeah? Or only one? And there are a couple of reds over here, right? It'll come. So if those of you who do not have a primary color,
yeah,
please choose green.
Green, yes.
Green is the far back, yes, exactly, yes. Right, have we got sort of the groups? Very good. Now, we're letting the cat out of the bag. The question, who are we? Does it sort of fit with who you are?
Yeah.
Yes? Yes, can I hear?
Within the blue group? Yeah.
Are there any no's in the room? Wow. Well, that was...
We have to copyright the model, I guess.
Exactly. We're going to teach this at university now. Right. So this is the model that we started to think of, and if I may hand over to Alessandro to say a couple of words to that.
It's just very quickly, but you see we've tried to identify the 4 areas, the 4 columns. Those are the 4 types of society we can think of. Professional society is a society where members are mainly individual members. The main purpose of the society is to serve those members with benefits and services that are relevant to their professional development. The trade society is an association where members are corporate organizations. Federation is an organization where members are other organizations, so for instance national societies. And the hybrid model is interesting enough when a society is not one pure model, but it's probably evolving from one model to another model, or maybe making a combination of everything. Then if you see the lines, meeting, education, publishing, membership, and project, those can be identified as the main areas for driving revenue. So meeting, that's a very important revenue generator for many societies. Education, meaning courses or other educational material online, on site. Publishing, for instance, medical journals, that's an important topic for some type of societies. Membership or project-directed funding. So if you see here, we have the crossing between the type of association and the type of revenue source. So the revenue sources are not equally important for all types of societies. So what we would like to do next is to have an exercise to try to see what is the most important, or the ones that are the most important sources of revenue according to each type. So what we would like to do now, we would like to ask each of the groups, and you can have subgroups within one color group, is to discuss, based on your experience, what are the revenue sources that are the most important for you. And maybe also, if you can do, when you do that, if you can point out a couple of volunteers that will then come and explain what has been the outcome of the discussion. And then we will try to guess also collectively what was the outcome of the exercise, and we'll try to pull out the information of what we believe is the most important revenue source for each type of association. Is that okay?
Right.
So we'll give some time for it. Huh?
Yes. I mean, do discuss amongst each other now a little bit what is for your community, for your association, the most important revenue source. And a point per table, probably one person, I guess, should be enough,
Yeah.
right? One person to speak. And we'll come around with the microphones and hear you out. Please, go ahead. Discuss, exactly. Associations, good or bad, discuss. If you wish, do take some notes on those posters that I'm currently distributing. And if those of you who have an extra comment to make, please write down those comments on those post-its as well and put them on the wall, on the white wall here in the back once the session is over, please. Thank you.
It might even work out.
Sorry?
It might even work out.
It might work out. You're doing the you just
Okay.
Okay, we'll let you listen and relax. If anybody has any questions at any time, just do raise your hand, I'll come. Or we'll come. I am fine.
The organization's primarily Congress. I know. So, but carrying on.
Yes.
They
As one does.
swiftly moving on. Exactly. But two of our associations actually receive corporate funding, and one is just coming on board, and one we've had. Yeah.
We've got 4 companies become corporate partners, so they funded the setup of the association over 2 years, and then they just renew.
So they're not
So they're not
sponsoring
members.
the
It's not
event.
sponsors,
They're
Society
society sponsors. So where that is corporate.
Do they fund? But do they fund a specific business plan and specific projects, or do they just fund the mission of the?
They just set up the association. The association had
Yeah.
no money.
Yeah.
It wasn't an association.
Right. So it's
So the committee went to them and they each agreed to give some money to set
Yeah.
up the association. And then they are a founding corporate member.
correct. So it's a member. Yeah.
Voting rights. They can advise, yeah. But it's not due.
Both corporate, and we were founding for there's like a membership.
There are some ethical. Just a question of others if
And ask the question to the audience, because there will be a little bit of interaction now. And bear that in mind. I think it's definitely a very interesting question. I think there are a few more people around here that may be in similar situations. It's actually to pull it through and the coat of arms and hang it around you. They have to leave it because otherwise it's getting coming. Right, let's use another 5 minutes sort of to wrap up the discussions around the tables a little bit. If you have any questions, there was this one table here that had a very interesting question. And I think it's worth to ask the question in the round, and maybe somebody else has gone through this experience. So if you've got any particular questions that you think might be interesting to share with the group, do write them down. Remember to appoint one person around each table to quickly report on something when we come with a microphone. And if I may also ask, as many as possible of you to use that little bit of string that you've got on your table, pull it through the holes that are on your coat of arms and hang the coat of arms around you, because otherwise, if you're not using the string, poor Abby and Erica and her team will have cut those strings for nothing this morning. Okay, so we've got a table that is already ready here.
Just use it as a lanyard.
Sorry?
Use it as a lanyard.
Oh, do we get a prize? Because I've drawn pictures online.
Yeah, the prize is a kiss from Alessandro.
Yes.
Okay, we've got a table that is ready here. Just to gauge where we all are, can I see a raise of hands of those groups that are already ready? One is ready here. Okay, two. Let's make it another 2 minutes. Okay, the discussions sort of appear to come to an end slowly. I will appoint the first table. After that, I'll ask, but we need to have a little icebreaker. If I may ask, this table here, you are blue, right? You're blue. Very good. So blue, according to the little model there, predominantly professional associations, I take it. Do you have a speaker? Yes, okay, we have you, of course. Right. So could you enlighten the group on your main sources of income, maybe? Essentially.
Okay, it was good. It was quite consistent across the group, perhaps slightly varying in percentage, but by far the predominant revenue source was meetings. For some of the associations represented, meetings and education sort of combined rather than separated. The second main source was probably publishing, with membership third, and then project probably last.
Thank you.
You also had a very interesting question earlier that I thought might be quite worth asking the overall group. Everybody, a round of applause. These are all ex-Congress people here. And they are still alive. Come on, a little bit more enthusiastic here. Thank you. No, so you had a very interesting question that I thought, in terms of the revenue coming in, the sponsorship, corporate sponsorship, that I thought maybe...
Yes, one of the questions we asked was how would you categorise looking at support for societies and association that comes through its corporate sort of sponsorship of the society as opposed to the meeting itself? Where does that sort of fall in the revenue stream? And I think we really came to the conclusion that it's probably a form of membership support. It's a different, perhaps, style of member, but probably a membership type of revenue stream.
Has anybody else some experiences with that? Like corporate support?
I would agree. And also very often then when you have a type of support, you have councils or corporate boards. So it's really a form of belonging and supporting the mission of the society.
Anybody else a differing view? No? Can I ask another of the blue tables, please, to share their results? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jacob Konish with ASAE, and our table had kind of similar ideas. Basically, we were 5 associations at a table, all of them professional societies. Surprising fact at our table is that 4 of the associations are healthcare associations, so it's kind of a nice grouping of all of us. And then the revenue was somewhat equally divided between meeting and education, with one association getting a significant revenue stream from a special project. And that's it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Another volunteer? This was a blue group again, yeah. So another volunteer somewhere. Just okay. I'll come to you just in a second. I'll have to walk less here. Sorry.
All right. Our clear winner was meetings. Almost all of us here make the most revenue from meetings, and then second was in membership.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. So these were the blues, all pretty much around the meetings
and education.
And education. Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Thank you. Now here we have greens. Oh, very interesting.
Hello. We said the same thing as the lady who just spoke. Meetings were our main source of revenue for most people, not everyone. And then membership was a very close second. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, talk about hybrid. Another volunteer table somewhere. It would be interesting to have. Do we have
some red or some yellow?
Red? Was there a yellow table at all?
There was one yellow person, but
one yellow person here. Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Well, I think there were 3 of us to begin with, and we've lost 1/3 of our constituency. But we had, a bit like it's been said already, but meetings, but we're talking here with a trade association, a single meeting provided quite a chunk of the revenue around this table, between 50 and 70%, which probably puts you in a slightly risk situation. The rest of it came from membership, around 30%, but also this lady here said they get a lot of money from projects.
Right.
Education didn't feature at all on this table, strangely.
Or maybe not.
Well, something to think about, maybe. But no, thank you very much for sharing these. I'm painting myself in blue here. Right.
We have the yellow person left.
We have the yellow person left.
Yes,
yes, Florence. What would you say? What would yellow be?
I don't think this is specific, but I would say meetings as well, and then membership. So I'm not different from the others.
Okay.
Right. Well, let's see if we were correct with our guess, which sort of has us.
So no one did that slide before. Huh? I mean, no one was typing the slide on the back of the room. We tried to guess a few things. So X means very important, X means important, and nothing means probably less important. So we think that in theory, in professional societies, the majority of the revenue will come from the meeting, probably. But also an important component will be education, and in part, the membership will be an important component as well, predominantly. Anyone feels this can be correct, or you feel that this is incorrect? I see. I agree, yeah.
I mean, we publish a lot of things over a year, but we don't charge for those. If you're a member, that's part of your value for membership, so we would include that in the other.
Yeah, it's true that if you think medical societies in the professional side, that usually is a revenue source. The journal is a source.
Yeah, just a quick point on the empty publishing slots in the professional category. We are a medical organization and we have a journal like many other medical organizations. We still make 45% of our revenue from that, out of royalties from the publisher. And as long as we complain with the publisher that these are going down and decreasing year after year, it's still a big chunk.
Well, running a medical society as well, I would completely agree. And I think I would also insert the medical societies as a subcategory of the professional group, but do we agree with that? Is it something that makes sense? Or translated, the ones who are not running a medical societies but are in blue, do they agree that the publishing business is less important or not? Yeah. So I think that's kind of true for the medical societies. For the trade, voila, we also thought that the meetings were important. The publishing could be important. Membership, project funding, and indeed we didn't imagine that education was the most important driver there. For a federation, we thought it was a combination of everything, but we thought the meeting and the membership as well, maybe for the yellow model, but indeed touching also on the other revenue sources. And then for the hybrid, we thought that there would be a combination, but that they will be quite balanced in theory as a theoretical source of revenue. And then we thought we would not highlight membership, not because we think that the hybrid model is not keen on membership, but it was to point out the fact that maybe hybrid associations are the ones who are having different types of memberships. And maybe they're not thinking members only, but they're also thinking customers. So they may be thinking on a wider term membership as one of the marketing channels to attract revenue, but it's more about the product that is offered than membership per se as a product.
Would that somewhat be in line what the people that classified themselves as green? Do you agree somewhat with that approach at all?
Would you include philanthropy under the project-directed funding?
I didn't hear the question, sorry.
If philanthropy would be included under project-funded. I think that goes a little bit into the question of the blue table over there, that also had corporate sponsors basically to keep the association alive, which I think can be compared to philanthropy in a certain sense.
I'm talking more philanthropy in the case of perhaps creating a dedicated memorial library or a resource center or a historical archives or something along that line.
Yeah, then I would say project funding, yes. Because those are projects that are serving the original mission of the society, but it's a concrete deliverable at the end of the project. On the contrary, a donation to support an organization unbundled to any specific result, that I would say is more membership type of revenue, if I can say so.
Okay. Thank you all very, very much for going through this thinking exercise and for going along with us on this little ride. I said I'm quite pleased that, in fact, the model sort of turned out to be okay. What we now have to do, obviously, is to put a couple of figures into it and really research it a little bit on a deeper level. Because as we were thinking of this model, we also did a bit of research on it, and actually nobody has ever bothered to really research it, definitely not in Europe yet, and put actually some figures and guidelines behind that. So I think that might be something for us as ESAE to look into in the future. And if anybody is interested, please do let us know, help us, join the forces if you want to. Right, to come into a little bit of a definition round. Associations as communities, obviously, what we looked at, and Alessandro just touched on that just a little bit. I'm not quite sure if we really want to go further into this slide now at this point, since we already discussed it, or Alessandro, would you want to add something still?
No, I think we gave the main elements of definition. I think what was the main point for us to find out today is really the fact that the green category exists. It is, of course, in the books, it is in the articles, there is much discussions about societies evolving from traditional models into new models, but in fact it is interesting to see that at least, I would say, 10 to 20% of the attendance of this room feels to belong to a society evolving into a hybrid model, so I think that is a very interesting element to bring with us.
Absolutely, I agree. Definitely. So we were thinking to have one more little round of discussions amongst each other, to really ask yourself the question, do you feel that you actually fit into that model? If yes, great. Why? If not, why not? And just to give you another round of like 2 minutes to quickly perhaps discuss this, this question amongst each other, and then we'll report back, hopefully to have a couple of yeses and nos, so that we may have a little bit of a balanced approach to that. Would that be okay?
Can have a mini debate in case.
A mini debate, yes. 2 minutes? Yep. And we'll do some exercise after that. I know the sort of the general sleepiness level is rising. And by all means, do not think that you have to fit into the model. If you're thinking outside of the box, that's great. That's what I in Mac obviously have.
I'm nothing to do with it.
Shall we look slowly at wrapping up the discussions? 2 more minutes.
Let's go.
Right. Let's bring the discussion slowly to an end. If I may sort of walk around the room with the microphone again, dauntingly, and ask maybe a couple of opinions. Let me start from the back this time. Did any of you sort of think that you fit the model or you don't fit it? Any thoughts that you might want to share?
We fitted the model, it's just that membership wasn't ticked for ours, and that was quite high up.
Okay.
I'll definitely take a note of that one. Thank you very much. Okay, let me move on to the blue. I come back to you once more. Anyone from here sharing their views?
We fit the model. Kind of didn't make it all the way around the table.
Yes, we fit the model, and we discuss the fact that because the income is coming mainly from the event side, do we still need to have more members or members? You know, if we lose members, is it a big issue? But we are still communities, so we need the members. So it's a question mark. We don't have the answer. And about the model itself, how do you generate maybe more revenue? Is how do you deal with competition coming from other associations, from on our side sister association in the US, implementing chapters everywhere? Open question.
Building communities. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is very, very nice. Of course, Jakob, that has nothing to do with it. No, very, very good. Thank you. That it was a very balanced approach as well. I definitely take a mental note of that as well. We will come back to that point sort of slightly indirectly in the next slide. Any further comments from somebody?
So we're trying to, I mean, I'm still working on this model.
Mm-hmm.
In my brain, I'm a little slow. But my degrees in economics are not helping me understand your model. And maybe, in fact, that's an explanation of why I don't, because I'm thinking in a different way. But what is the purpose of the model?
The purpose of the model basically is trying to figure out what is the common denominator in community building communities of practice. What brings us together? Is it really just the shared values? And how do we then therefore organize? How do we really implement the community building aspects for the various association models that are currently existing, that everybody goes out boasting about? And where are the trends going from there? I said the trend for the future from our perspective is obviously something like a hybrid model as we're seeing ourselves confronted with global economic crisis, for example, where we have to in fact look at reinventing ourselves, reinventing how we used to do things in the past. How do we deal with membership? Are they still members, or are they nowadays customers, or how do we brand ourselves? It is basically not necessarily an economic forecasting model. That's not what it's supposed to be. I think the way we're trying to explain it mainly is just to see social trends as well, how they are developing, what is currently going on and where might a certain future lie for associations that are currently finding themselves somewhere along within those quadrants, but that are encountering difficulties, and to see possible alternatives, in fact, in their own organizational development.
I think, but I think what we try to do, I mean, we try to have a couple of objectives using the model. One objective was really to try to get you talking around common areas of interest. So we try to use the model to build communities here. It was a sort of instrumental tool to do it. But then the other element was to try to understand whether we can find common denominators from a business model point of view. So I don't know if this is possible, but it's interesting to see that more or less everyone in the room today is finding a place in the model. No one is disagreeing completely, so maybe there is space to start from here and conduct some research and see whether there are really ideal types of business models that can be derived by type of organization. And probably this is research that has been conducted already somewhere in the world, maybe in the US probably. I'm not sure in Europe with it, so it's interesting to start from this point of view, I guess.
We've found an age difference, my colleague and I, not just between us, but between our associations. My association is nearly 60 years old, and it fitted this model. And your association is very young, and it didn't fit the model, but only because it hasn't yet got to the stage where it probably is going to fit the model. But that, for me, that was an interesting one. But I have to say to you two guys, congratulations. I've not understood a word of this. But all from the beginning, I haven't understood a word, but it's all worked out very well. That somehow you've got it right, but I don't understand how.
Okay, we'll have a beer later on.
Well, yeah, thanks.
Actually, we'll be in Spanish.
Thanks.
Oh, beer is here tonight.
I guess that was the whole purpose, to just
I think so, yeah.
make it work.
Sneaky.
With a question.
Oh, sorry.
You know, one of the things that I'm seeing in your association model as a challenge is that you haven't addressed really the rise in popularity of things like LinkedIn and other social media channels, which have actually, for free, enabled people to join and engage in things that don't cost them a membership fee, that don't cost them a trip to an annual conference, but that grassroots education is occurring, knowledge is being transferred, good or bad, official or unofficial, but it's happening, and it's eroding the target market segmentation for these different meetings and other activities. And I don't see that present in any of your colors or any of your other line items.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we only focused on what does generate revenue. So where concretely you can trace a financial transaction. And the question was also at the table here, where there was the question, do we still need to focus on membership? Do we only focus on the meeting? How do we tackle competition and so on? I guess it is true that there is a general trend, and it's a topic per se we might want to discuss another time. Membership is the traditional way of associating formally people or organizations to one mission. It is becoming less and less the only way to do it. In the beginning, membership was per se a bundle of services and packages that you would offer, and some people would take it to join the organization, some people would take it to buy a set of services. Today it's becoming one channel to communicate certain benefits together with many other channels. And that does change how the business model looks like, what is the articulation of value, and what is the different ability of the society to remain relevant. So it is an extremely important topic. That's why I was extremely interested to try to see whether we had a green column, because I guess that the more we go into that direction of opening up from a purely membership-driven associating process to a more enlarged process, the more probably you will see in the societies that, also going along with the maturity of the organization, you will see that there is a diversification coming from the revenue streams, the diversification of audiences, but they might want different things from the society. So it is an extremely interesting topic, but next year?
It is, yeah, I totally agree with you. And in fact, whereas we now have been concentrating very much on the revenue generating side, there's also possibly space for exactly revenue threats. In fact, yeah, I had originally thought if I wanted to put a Porter's 5 forces model in here, somebody else just said something earlier, and I thought, like, interesting point. We'll do that next time. But yeah, thank you very much for that. It was a very good pointer.
Absolutely.
In fact, we took out a slide from this presentation early on where we were just quickly sort of mentioning or just flashing the idea of the diversification of or the trend of diversification of income streams and using several platforms as added value to their own common goals for associations. In fact, there are these trends out very clearly. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Just to basically wrap up, we are in fact at the end of the first round here this afternoon. What defines our communities? We put up a couple of little phrases up there. The second one is a funny one. It's a biological one, which I thought, though, does it apply to us as well? So groups of interacting living organisms, which we all are, sharing a populated environment. We all do that right now. So we actually are really our own, biologically seen at least, our own little community here right now. Okay, that might cut it a little bit too biological here now. I'm not wanting to go too much into that. But otherwise, I think we can still all agree that we are definitely all some sort of sizable unit, social unit, that shares some common values. And obviously, I'm throwing that question out into the room right now. I've been asked this question many times. I don't yet have an answer found for it, and I don't think I will. Not at least very shortly. How do we want to communicate? How do we communicate to our constituencies? Do we really come together on a basis of shared values? Do we want to communicate the shared values? Or where's the trend going to go? Are we going to move further on into branding ourselves as the competition also increases from other sources, as was mentioned, say, free platforms for people to join in? That might be a loss of income for us rather than just simply a neutral basis. How do we define ourselves in language of becoming more something corporate, learning from the private sector, for example, how the non-profit sector could operate in the future? Is it a good trend? Is it a bad trend? And obviously, last point, the degree of cohesiveness is very much defined by how we strategically come together as organizations. There's an intent, there's a belief, there's a strategy out there. Certainly, for many, there's always a great need as well to come together as an association. Alessandro, you had something to add, I think, as well.
Well, I anticipated it before. I think the purpose of the exercise today was not just to try to build a model, but was to use this as an excuse for you to talk, to get together, to exchange. So in a way, to build communities right here. Communities in the association world is always a way to say we do something broader than membership. So we associate people not just by membership, but by talking to them in different ways. I think it is interesting to see how little it takes to trigger the process of sharing and discussing something which is of common interest, and from there, then you can create additional dynamics, putting additional elements of common interest. So I guess it was also trying to see whether we could take the two, catch the two objectives of the session. One was to do the model, the other one was also to instill the community building while doing the exercise.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the point of concluding this session here today. We would very much appreciate if you could use the couple of post-its that you may have left on a table to write down any tips or comments, feedback to this session on them, and as I said, perhaps glue them on the white wall back there if you're going out. We hope that you enjoyed the session a little bit here today as a slight kickoff for the discussions afterwards, and hope to be able to talk to you, with many of you, in the course of the next coming days. These are our contact details if you want to get in touch with us, also outside of the meetings here today. Looking forward to seeing all of you later. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, housekeeping, there is a break of half an hour. I'm looking on the back if I'm not wrong. And we're going to be back here in 30 minutes. 3:30, yes.